We had been monitoring the issues around Representative Ilhan Omar, who's the new representative from Minnesota. She's a naturalized American citizen. She came here from Somalia via Kenya. And there have been substantial questions raised about whether she engaged in marriage fraud, tax fraud, and all sorts of other criminal conduct related to her marriages and other things. And obviously it's gotten more attention because Ilhan Omar is part of one of those four socialist members of Congress the president specifically has been battling this week. Or they've been actually more attacking him than he's been attacking them directly, although he pushed back at them at I think a rally this week. But so the Powerline blog, which is a conservative blog, has been investigating exhaustively Ilhan Omar's publicly available records. And even finally, the local Minnesota paper, who had been protecting Omar, admitted this week that there's a good chance she did marry her brother. So the story is, and David Steinberg has his latest stories on the Powerline blog, and I encourage you to read it because he and his colleagues there, including Scott Johnson and Preya Samsundar, have done a series of articles that kind of raise major questions about Omar. And from my perspective, there's more than enough publicly available evidence to warrant a criminal investigation of Omar's activities on immigration fraud, potentially tax fraud, and other criminal conduct. DHS should look into it. The Justice Department should look into it because it involves tax fraud. The IRS should look into it. And this is the story. She goes to Kenya. She comes to the United States as I think 12 years old. The allegation is that her family was split up, that she was able to come in, she and her, I think, father and a sibling were able to come in under another family name. Her other siblings did not come in and kept their original family name. And the story is, or it seems to be, that Omar had a marriage with her brother in order to help him get some benefits here in the United States and potentially immigration benefits, including immigration benefits here in the United States. And that despite her being married, she was, this is where I'm probably a little bit hazier than I should be, she was filing tax returns with one husband while being married to the other. I forget which one is which, but you know, it looks like it was so bad that she actually, I think, had to amend her tax returns. And so the Powerline blog has been doing the hard work here, and because it's conservative and the media is in bed with the left, it's run by the left, they were protecting her. Why? She fits all the politically correct categories. You know, she's young, she's a woman, she's a refugee, she's Muslim American, all those sorts of things. So any misconduct by someone who's a creature of the left like Ilhan Omar is, they're going to protect necessarily. So it was Powerline blog that was doing all the heavy lifting here, and the Minneapolis paper followed up and kind of ignored all their prior reporting and highlighted issues that Omar really has to answer for. I mean, it looks like she was destroying social media posts to make it harder to figure out what went on. When she's asked direct questions on it, her response is, "You're a racist for asking them," which may or may not be true, but it's not responsive to the fact-based questions that she's being asked here. And so Mr. Steinberg, his latest story, this is his, I want to highlight this quote for you. He writes, "Please read the verified evidence below, and read it below, and read it along with the other verified evidence that he's been able to uncover with his colleagues. The information appears to give probable cause to investigate Omar for 8 instances of perjury, immigration fraud, marriage fraud, up to 8 years of state and federal tax fraud, 2 years of federal student loan fraud, and even bigamy. To be clear, the facts describe perhaps the most extensive spree of illegal misconduct committed by a House member in American history. You know, my guess, other than on Fox News, this is the only detail you'll see from someone in Washington on this. MSNBC is covering up for the big networks aren't covering this story. They're just smearing those of us asking questions, which are legitimate here. I mean, when your local leftist newspaper basically admits you probably married your brother, you've got a problem. So I don't know what the Justice Department's going to do. I don't know what the Department of Homeland Security is going to do. I don't know what the IRS is going to do, but I do know what Judicial Watch is going to do. We're going to keep on investigating this. We're going to demand accountability for this person. And this isn't about her ideology, although she is ideologically quite noxious. She engages in this sly, dishonest anti-Semitism. She's viciously anti-Israel. She supports the Council on Arab-Islamic Relations, which is a supposedly U.S. organization that the U.S. government has believed to be a front for the terror group Hamas. There's no real debate about that. And Omar doesn't care about that. So she raises money for this front group for the terror organization Hamas. So that's problematic enough. But this is just basic criminality if these allegations turn out to be true. Scott Johnson, who helped report, you know, he's the guy I most associate with the Powerline blog. He was on Fox this week. And Mr. Johnson said there's a 98% chance that she engaged in marriage fraud, and there's a 90% chance that the fraud was in the 90% chance the fraud was with her brother. So we're going to be investigating this. We may be taking some action over the next few days on this that I'll tell you about next week. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to take additional steps to make sure that these questions are answered. You know, and the media is just terrible on these issues. They can't be trusted. And I don't even like to call them the media anymore. I've taken to calling the New York Times and the Washington Post and these left-wing news organizations on the internet as liberal advocacy groups, left-wing advocacy groups. And they sometimes engage in journalism, but the journalism is a tool these liberal advocacy groups use to advance their agenda. They're not independent journalists in any fair sense of the word. They're advocates for a particular agenda, both ideological and partisan often. So on issues like this, you can't trust the media. So you can trust Judicial Watch, though.